Hello and welcome to another one of my Magic the Gathering Arena videos. Today I will be tackling the Artisan event that recently came out, and for this I wanted to try Gruul. I know that Gruul is not a strong archetype, so I'll probably lose against most of the decks, but you know, I just still wanted to give it a go. We will probably be seeing a lot of adventure decks or blue-white flyers, I guess. I think they are even more popular now than back in Eldraine. But yeah, let's just give this deck a go. So we got 4 Sharks, 4 Moss Vipers. I could have gotten something else here in this slot that isn't a human, because we wanted to work together with Gruul, the Generous. He's giving other non-human creatures +1/+1 when they enter the battlefield. So I chose Moss Viper because, you know, it has Death Touch. It can block most of the creatures even if they have Hexproof that we otherwise can't touch. Then we have Fire Urchin, which can pretty well synchronize with our pump cards like Collision Colossus or Daeldadris Ambush. And then we have Crow Harpooner for those annoying flyers. We have, of course, Collision Colossus and Daeldadris Ambush that I've just talked about. Then we have the staple Goblin and Anax. I don't know how well Anax is going to do. We will have a couple things that add the devotion to red, but not as much as in a mono red deck, obviously. Then we have the Triumph of Anax. It can be good. It's quite a gamble to put it in this deck, but I think it should be okay once we have all those counters on our creatures. Then we have Gruul, of course, the engine of the deck. Let's hope he doesn't get removed once we get him on the board. Then we have just 2 copies of Rhythm of the Wild. We don't want to have this in our opening hand, but obviously it can come in handy later. And we have 24 sources of mana. I've included the tap lands. I don't know how well we are going to do with it, but I think we might have some turns when we don't have enough of basic lands in our hands, so in that case this could come in handy. So yeah, this is the deck. If I'm losing too much, I will probably adjust this, but let's just give it a go now. It's a pretty fast first game against Artisan. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Opening hand, not very exciting, but at least we have mana for some stuff later, so we might try this. Some sort of enchantment decks that I don't like. You can build a pretty good enchantment deck with just commons and uncommons, and yeah, they can wreck other decks in like 3 or 4 turns. Opponent is on all that glitters, so yeah, now we can use probably a Daeldadris Ambush is our best bet here. And just attack for 4. And yeah, they just scoop up. I don't know why, maybe they didn't draw any creatures that they can put their enchantments on, or maybe they just got stuck on 2 lands and they saw that we can pump our creatures past their point where they can enchant them, I don't know. But this wasn't a good demonstration of the deck. Nonetheless, we got our first reward. This is just for, I don't know what, I think it's for the mastery track. And some other creature. And yeah, we got Clotis, God of Destiny, in an alternate form. Let's jump into the second game, which would provide us with another variant of Anax. I am a username, nice name. Opening hand is good, especially with the Death Touch creature. Because even if we deal damage to something larger, the Death Touch keeps killing it. So yeah, I think I'm going to hang on to this hand. Let's hope this is not some sort of mono black devotion deck, because the Grey Merchant is also available in this format. I think I'm just going to use my Viper as an attacker, and if they block it and get the creature with the afterlife, we can just ambush it later. And of course we have some Gruul Harpooners in the deck, I think 2 I've put in it. So even if we draw that, we can get rid of the creature in the air. Okay, so they will get our Daeldadris ambush. It's okay though, we have a couple more on in the deck. So yeah, we got Anax, we can just attack past this creature and put him on the board. So far we haven't seen Gruul in any of our 2 matches, which is a shame, but you know, you cannot expect to him to come in every match. I think what we will do is use him like this, and if they block, I'm not going to pump it right away. Let's hope they don't have another discard spell. Ministrant of Obligation is good against us, but now I think what we can do is use our Gruul Harpooner. So yeah, what we can do is pump the team like this. Or we don't even need to pump him. We can just do it next turn if they don't have a discard spell. They gain 1 life, go back to 8, but it's a tap land, so they only have access to 4 mana. Corpse Knight, okay. So I think we can win if we are careful. So what we can do is just use Colossus on him. And that should be it. Alternatively, I could have used Shock on one of the creatures or go face. But that's our second game, with Anax on the board, winning the alternate art for Anax as well. So it's a pretty good match. Yeah, looks good. I like these constellation cards. And let's jump into the third and final game. Against Homicidal Goat. Scary name. I think I like this opening hand. And I'm just going to lead with a mountain into Shock if they put something on the board. Next turn we can use the Goblin, followed by Daeldadris Ambush or even a Moss Viper. We will see. Opponent is on black, Vicious Rumors, okay. We can discard the card. I think the least use for right now might be the Viper. Another Daeldadris Ambush is good. This might actually be a tough matchup if they have a lot of discard spells. Also they are on black-red, okay. With a Spear Spewer. Probably to enable some kind of spectacle effect. Unfortunately we didn't draw any lands, so that might be a problem further down the road. But I don't want to risk them having something with a spectacle enabled. So I want to kill that as fast as possible. Alternatively, I could have used the Fire Urchin and attacked next turn, but then I risk losing something from my hand. Okay, but they still can enable Spectacle. I'm expecting the 1 mana deal 3 damage card. Oh, it's a grab it instead. So good against us. That's what I was trying to avoid. It doesn't really hurt to take away any of our cards like that, because we still have a backup like this. Inox would have been nicer in case the Zurta Goblin dies, because it creates 2 tokens then, but whatever. Slaying Fire to deal 3 damage to us. We could use Shock. That's an extra 4 damage with the Fire Urchin in play, but I'm just going to hold back on that, because they might play around that. Opponents got their 4th mana. So some scary spells could happen here. Obviously they can see my hand, so they can pretty much play around that however they want. Okay, so they get 3 life. But it's my turn. Domri's Ambush has a drawback, so we can just put a +1/+1 counter on something and pump the Fire Urchin with it, with its ability, because we don't have another target to fight. So as long as we don't have another target to fight, which isn't our own creature, we can't put the +1/+1 counter on it. Because with that it would be 2/4 followed by its ability. It should be a 3/4. Yeah, it's not enough. Opponent is trying to cling on his life total by using spells that drain us, which they are pretty effective because they've only presented 1 creature. Now it's the second one. And they are still managing to beat us to 11 life, so it's quite a good deck. I can see how it's good. But now what we can do is just use Domri's Ambush on the Goblin. Attack for the win. And even use Shock. Because we know what's in their hand, or rather it isn't. So yeah, this was probably my fastest Artisan event that I've ever played in. We don't know what we got there because, you know, Arena just skips the rewards that you get from the Battle Pass or whatever it is, and just gives you the reward cards instead. So we will never know what we got there. But I think it's okay. This is a good deck, definitely try it out. The other variants that could be played in this type of event is probably Mono Black Devotion, Mono Black Discard. Those could be powerful. I know the Cauldron Familiar is banned, so don't use that. Obviously Cavalcade decks are out of the question. But another thing that I might try out later this day is Blue-White Flyers and see how they do. I think that can be pretty good as well with the Empyrean Eagle. Yeah, and probably the adventure decks from what's it called, Throne of Eldraine. So yeah, if you have one of those decks that you've participated in the Throne of Eldraine Artisan events back in the day, then you can use those, and I think you can pretty much do well with those as well. So you have your Edgewalling Keepers, you have your Smitten Swordmasters, I don't know. So yeah, there's lots of potential in these Artisan type of events. So yeah, feel free to build your own jank if you want. I think 3 wins can be achieved with pretty much every deck if you just play enough games. So if you have to play 10 games to get 1 win but you enjoy it, it's much better than to just get 3 wins straight away with a deck that you dislike. So thank you everyone for watching this video, and I hope you do well with this deck if you try to use it. And yeah, see you in the arena.